At WrestleMania 33, one of the most highly anticipated matches on the card was the clash between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg for the Universal Championship. This was the culmination of a fierce rivalry that had been brewing for months, making it a marquee event in WWE history. Lesnar defeated Goldberg at the show, winning the Universal Championship for the first time in his career. The match was short but intense, lasting just under 5 minutes. This was the first time that Lesnar defeated Goldberg in his career, marking the beginning of a lengthy reign as Universal Champion, a title he would hold for over 500 days. In the main event of the same night, Roman Reigns defeated The Undertaker in a lackluster match. This was only the second time that the Dead Man lost at WrestleMania after Lesnar ended his undefeated streak at WrestleMania 30. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, this part is important to tell the story. Coming to Brock Lesnar, he was already a multi-time WWE champion before winning this title. Fans were expecting an exciting title reign from Lesnar as he was an established name in WWE, and around this time new stars had emerged. So fans wanted to see some dream matches with Lesnar. After winning the championship at WrestleMania, Lesnar and his advocate Paul Heyman came out on the following Raw after Mania. Heyman cut an intense promo talking about how Lesnar would be a dominant champion. He also talked about the 2 in 23 and 2, referring to Roman Reigns defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. He further said that history demands for Lesnar and Reigns to clash, as they're the only two people to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. This was the point when fans began to see the direction WWE was heading, realizing that Roman Reigns was being positioned as Brock Lesnar's eventual successor.
Stand back. There's a new wrestling quiz coming through. Check out BrainBuster, the daily quiz that tests your WWE knowledge with winning streaks, stats, and more. It's time to see if you're up for the challenge.
WWE had attempted to establish this feud a few years earlier at WrestleMania 31, where Reigns and Lesnar had an intense match that ended without a clear winner due to Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank contract mid-match. Now was the time to revisit the rivalry, but the showdown wouldn't happen right away. Instead, fans would have to wait an entire year for the long-awaited clash. In the meantime, Lesnar had a stare down with Braun Strowman on the Raw after Mania, where the monster of all monsters made it clear that the Beast was now on his radar before walking out. Lesnar was a marked man as he had the title. He disappeared for a few months, and WWE held a fatal 5-way to determine the new #1 contender for the Universal Championship, which was won by Samoa Joe. Yeah, Samoa Joe, who had just made his main roster debut a few months earlier. Joe getting this opportunity was a great choice. Fans loved him even though he was a heel, and they wanted to see him succeed. The next week on Raw, Paul Heyman appeared to congratulate Samoa Joe on his victory, but Joe responded by locking Heyman in a chokehold in the middle of the ring, declaring it a message to Brock Lesnar. Heyman rarely takes physical punishment, and when he does, it signals that the wrestler is someone truly special. This is how the feud between Joe and Lesnar started. A match between the two was set for the Universal Championship at Great Balls of Fire. Yeah, that was an awful name for a PLE. Lesnar and Joe engaged in a brutal brawl that had to be broken up by the entire Raw locker room. The confrontation further intensified the rivalry, with both men showcasing their aggression. Joe's fearless attitude made him one of the most credible challengers to Lesnar's reign. They also had a sit-down interview where both of them were isolated from each other. It was one of the best sit-down interviews in WWE, where Joe came out as an absolute badass. It seemed like Joe was the hunter and Lesnar was the hunted. Fans were excited for this match, as in a long time a credible challenger for Lesnar had emerged. Joe beating Lesnar was next to impossible, as the Beast had just started his reign, but everyone expected him to give a tough fight to Lesnar, which he kinda did. At Great Balls of Fire, Joe attacked Lesnar before the bell even rang, giving him the upper hand. Joe was the aggressor during the match, trying to choke Lesnar out. However, the match did not last long, as Lesnar delivered an F5 and won the match. It was disappointing to say the least. Looking at the build-up, this should have been a classic. The next night on Raw, Lesnar had a meeting with Raw General Manager Kurt Angle in the middle of the ring. This was to talk about the next challenger for the Universal Championship. As the segment was going on, Roman Reigns came out demanding a match with Lesnar for the title. Reigns was having an intense feud with Braun Strowman around this time. Shortly after, Samoa Joe stormed out furious over his loss to Lesnar, declaring that the Beast hadn't truly won but had merely escaped him. They had a very fun back and forth. Watch this segment if you haven't, it's truly entertaining. Kurt Angle made a match between Roman and Joe to determine the challenger for Lesnar. However, during the match, Braun Strowman came out and attacked everyone, emerging as another challenger for Lesnar. Soon it was announced that Brock would defend his Universal Championship in a fatal four-way match against Joe, Reigns, and Strowman at SummerSlam. This was a blockbuster main event. From the opening bell, the match was non-stop action. All four competitors wasted no time going after one another. Lesnar found himself on the receiving end of brutal assaults from all three challengers, each eager to weaken the champion. Strowman emerged as the early standout in the match, unleashing his fury on everyone, particularly Lesnar. In one of the most memorable moments of the night, Strowman slammed Lesnar through two announce tables and then tipped a third one over on top of him, seemingly taking the champion out of the equation. Lesnar had to be stretchered out of the arena, leaving the remaining three to battle it out. Despite the devastating punishment, Lesnar made a dramatic return to the match and managed to retain his title. And guess who was the guy to get pinned? It was Roman Reigns. Fans knew that WWE was breaking Reigns down before his eventual match with Brock. In the meantime, Lesnar started feuding with Braun Strowman, who was getting huge fan reactions around this time due to his fearless intensity. During a segment on Raw, he manhandled Brock in a way that no one had ever seen before. A match between the two was set at No Mercy. Braun was so hot that if WWE decided to go with him as the top guy and give him the title, fans would have accepted it. However, at No Mercy, Lesnar again won the match with an F5 in a lackluster match. In two highly anticipated matches with hot challengers, Lesnar failed to deliver. While the Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam was entertaining, it wasn't solely driven by his performance. But the next match involving the Beast Incarnate was an absolute classic. At Survivor Series, WWE booked a champion versus champion match with the Universal Champion from Raw facing the WWE Champion from SmackDown. Jinder Mahal was the WWE Champion around this time, and it was he who called out Lesnar, but just a few days before the match, AJ Styles won the WWE Championship from Mahal and went on to face Lesnar at Survivor Series. It was the first time that Lesnar was facing AJ Styles, and the match delivered. The match featured several high-impact spots, with Styles using his agility while Lesnar used his power to neutralize him. Lesnar won the match, but Styles pushed him to his limits. It is still regarded as one of the best matches in Brock Lesnar's career. His next match came at Royal Rumble 2018, where he successfully defended his title against Braun Strowman and Kane in a triple threat match. During this match, Strowman delivered a stiff knee to Lesnar, who responded with a legit punch, showing that he is not one to be messed with. It was WrestleMania season, and everyone knew who was going to be his opponent at the grandest stage of them all, Roman Reigns. It was booked since the day Lesnar won the Universal Championship. Reigns went on to win the Elimination Chamber to earn his opportunity to fight Lesnar at WrestleMania 34. Around this time, WWE started telling the story that Lesnar was a lazy part-timer who did not have passion for the business. Roman Reigns talked about this, but it did not work. Fans were uninterested in this feud as they knew that Reigns would eventually dethrone Lesnar. They did not like the fact that WWE was pushing Reigns so hard as a good guy, despite fans rejecting him so many times. At WrestleMania, the match was met with boos. The crowd wanted to see Lesnar lose, but they also didn't want to see Reigns win. It was a weird situation. Lesnar delivered multiple F5s and busted Roman Reigns wide open and won the match. Yes, where fans expected Reigns to win, he did not. His face was covered with blood as Lesnar walked out with the championship. This was done to give him some sympathy. It was part of the story of Vince McMahon trying to force Roman Reigns as a face and wanting Brock to be the big obstacle in his way. Fans reacted negatively to this decision, feeling frustrated by the prolonged quest of WWE trying to push Roman as an underdog and eager to move past. Even Lesnar was not happy with this, and he was seen throwing the Universal title at Vince McMahon backstage. WWE continued the Roman Reigns feud with another Lesnar win in Saudi Arabia, where they faced in a steel cage match. This was controversial as both Lesnar and Reigns went off the cage when Roman hit the spear. With this, Roman was back with nothing while Lesnar disappeared again for a few months with the title. Fans were getting frustrated now as their top champion wasn't on TV. They just wanted Lesnar to lose the title now. Reigns was still going to be the guy to beat Lesnar at SummerSlam 2018. The big dog finally defeated Brock for the first time in his career and won the Universal Championship. After 504 days, Brock Lesnar was not the champion. This was the longest reign of modern time up until this time, but the fans had their complaints with this. Lesnar was often criticized for his limited TV appearances, and the 504 days he only defended the title 7 times. That's not a high number considering the length of his reign. While Lesnar had some standout matches during his title reign, it didn't make sense to keep the title on him for so long. Also, it did not help Roman Reigns, the guy who ended the reign, to become over with the fans. In the end, even if Lesnar hadn't had this lengthy reign, it likely wouldn't have made much difference. He won the championship again after Roman announced that he was suffering from leukemia and relinquished his title, and dropped it to Seth Rollins before winning it again by cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. Yeah, Brock Lesnar with the Money in the Bank contract. It's a topic of a different video. He lost the title to Rollins again at SummerSlam 2019 in an excellent match. These later Universal Championship reigns weren't that bad, as they were not very long like his first one.